apologize for not being able to see me, minus the few seconds coming up. Currently walking and it's night out. Oh, you didn't get to see me much. So, on my main YouTube, which is pretty much just for personal use, I completely forgot that I used to actually upload to it, but I think it was mainly like an archive, like nothing on it even has any titles or anything. Anywho, that's irrelevant. What's relevant is what I was watching. I was watching a George Carlin, I believe his name was. Forgive me if you're a fan, and if you catch the reference that I'm talking about. I honestly didn't care to read his name. Reading is not my strong suit. I could identify how to spell things after if I've seen it enough times, but actually trying to read and comprehend, that's different. It's a lack of care, and it kind of bleeds into what he was talking about. And this is something that I'm so glad that someone who actually has a name, for themselves was able to see many years prior. Because he did this in his special in 2005. And this is something that as an adult, I've come to realize is that America has growingly, this is why I say I'm not proud to be an American. I don't care to be in this country. I'd rather live somewhere else, even though I've never lived anywhere else. Actually, correction, I lived in Mexico for a short while, and I'd be willing to move there if the conditions were proper. What I mean by that is there are people where I was born, San Diego, California, who work in San Diego, but then live in TJ. They live in Tijuana, Mexico, because they can take advantage of the currency exchange. And, the $12+ an hour from San Diego, and then live for like $100 rent in TJ. And everything's cheaper and whatnot, or about the same, depending on what it is. And I like to travel, so, it doesn't really faze me. I'm a very cultural person. I love culture. But not the point. Point is that what struck a chord was the fact that America is nothing but a giant shopping mall. And we're a huge fucking commercial. And I've never understood why a lot of countries and a lot of places want to be like, oh, America's where it is. We maybe at one point, sure, we know how to, start some good stuff, but in the overall mass scheme of things, now again, I realize we're probably one of the higher up there countries. Don't get me wrong, I'm not that ignorant. But I'd still rather live somewhere else. Like, England can't be too bad. Canada seems to be pretty nice. I mean, some of the stuff that people say about the negative aspects of Canada, like the smoking tax. I don't smoke. The drinking tax. I don't drink anymore. Used to, only socially. But I don't drink, but my health has gone down so bad to where I can't enjoy a drink at all. Both in the moment or afterwards. It takes such a toll on my body for such a young age. It's horrible. It's horrendous, But yeah, so it's just like, it's astounding on how that's all we are. And one thing he points out is that Americans have two major addictions, shopping and eating. And that's something that I want to go on a rant for on a later day when I have the means of doing so, like a longer video that I can make instead of like 5 to 10 minutes before our phone cuts out, And he points out, it's like, the shopping malls is where we can, indulge in our, biggest addiction, shopping and eating. And when you think about it, it's 2019 now. I don't know when he passed away. Hold on. But that special came out in 2005. So think about it. How many years later? It's 14 years later. And we've only gotten further down that rabbit hole, so to speak, Now, all we do is everything's online. Everything's instant. The small business is dying, and everything's corporate. Instacart, Postmates. You don't even have to go out to go grocery shopping anymore. Like, it's sad on how, and I saw in the comments of a different George Carlin video. Again, apologies if I didn't pronounce his name. I'm actually becoming a fan of his, so I should get around to trying to comprehend the pronunciation and properly fucking read it, right? Now learn to read, dumbass. You know? But yeah, it's astounding on how, you know, there are advantages to this new system that we're implementing, but you gotta think about the ratio here. You gotta think about it, you know? Who actually uses it? Is it lazy and fat people? Is it, you know, kids that are my age? You know, teenagers or 20-year-olds or, you know, whatever like that. And when I say 20s, I mean anywhere in your 20s. You know, by the time you're in your 30s or 40s, you're old enough to where, you know, shopping should be a norm at that point. Go out, enjoy the leisure of pushing a shopping cart, you know, and buying things. You know, for me, it helps me, you know, just zone out, and, you know, I'll walk around the entire store, or at least I used to. When I had an apartment, I would shop a little bit more regular. But I'd walk around, and then I would only buy a few things, and it was the things I intended to buy. Maybe a few extra things like, oh, I'm in the mood for, you know, Cocoa Puffs or whatever. Cocoa Pebbles was what I was thinking of, because I don't really eat Cocoa Puffs. No offense. But, you know, it amazes me on how that is all we do. And when you look at the advertisements for these apps, like Postmates, they're like little cereals, no pun intended. You know, they make it seem like this guy was like 007, you know, fighting someone off just to deliver your, you know, Chinese food or something. And it's ridiculous. It really is. How much, as Americans, this is all we care about, is we care about consuming. And that's all it is it's just consuming in general. Do we know that fossil fuels are destroying our Earth? Yes. Do we want to destroy it more? Yes. We're consuming the planet. You know, granted, Tesla is becoming more common, and I'm seeing more of them. Granted, I live in Las Vegas, so, you know, there is an actual Tesla dealership that is on Sahara. I think it's on Sahara. And, you know, there's people with a little bit more wealth here. But still, you know, it's like, we know what we do is bad for our bodies. We know what we do is bad for the environment. And it's symbiotic. What is bad for the environment is going to affect our bodies, and what doesn't affect our bodies immediately affects our next generation. You know, rather that's, you know, what we don't take care of and fix now affects them, and they have to take care of it. Or, you know, it affects how we reproduce. You know, it affects the next generation in one form or another. So yeah, it's just, there's more that I can rant on about this, but again, I already know that I'll have to wait like an hour before I can upload a video again, and I still technically have to, you know, muster the